Hey, my friend, so do you sometimes wonder whether you should be using your content and repurposing it on other platforms? When I started, that's a big recommendation I had gotten from one of my mentors. So I've been doing that and I'm still doing it today. But is it the right strategy, and why should you or why shouldn't you do it? We'll talk about that in a second. But first, my name is Jean-Serge Gagnon, and I help entrepreneurs like you generate residual income from digital course strategies. So cool thing is I'm actually doing this. I'm actually putting together a logo for Course Income Secrets. I don't know what you think about it, but it's basically supposed to be a world, right? It's online. It's an online thing, and you got a key because it's secrets. You're opening up the secrets. The ABC is supposed to represent simplicity courses, and then of course the world is opening up, and you got money coming out of there, right? So I don't know what you think, but that's. Anyways, if you have a comment on the logo, I'd love to hear it. I mean, I know it's just a picture right now. It's a drawing. It's not very high quality or anything. But let me know what you think. I'd love to hear your thoughts on whether you think that logo represents Course Income Secrets or not. All right, so posting on multiple platforms, sharing on platforms. I remember when I first started, one of my mentors said you should repurpose your content to share on multiple platforms. Now, I think that is, and well, before I answer or talk more about that, then today, if you listen to, say, Gary Vaynerchuk, for example, he's very strongly recommends creating content specific to the platform. So he even goes to the extent of whenever he's on Snapchat, he'll say, hey Snapchat, how you doing, whatever. He'll say the word. If you're on Facebook, he'll say, hey Facebook Live, or hey Facebook story people, or which I kind of disagree with in terms of making the content about one person versus a platform, right? So if you're saying, hey YouTube friend, that might be okay, versus saying, hey YouTube friends, or hey YouTube channel subscribers, or plural versus a singular, right? But the thing is that depending on the platform, of course, there's certain things you can say that you shouldn't be saying on another platform. Like, for example, let's see. For example, comment below if you have any suggestions or questions. You can't really say that on a Snapchat, right? You can't say on a Snapchat. You would say swipe up to send me a message, right? And on Facebook or Instagram stories, you could say something similar. It really depends on the platform you're on. But the big thing is when you're talking about platforms that are for completely different audiences, that you might not necessarily post the same content there, right? Like, for example, I can't post my Facebook Live video on the Snapchat story. So that's totally different. So I don't do that. I don't try to do it. And some people actually, you can see if you go on Instagram stories, for example, or Instagram, some people are actually taking videos that they did in YouTube, horizontal, and they're posting it in their Instagram stories, and then you see this big black top part, big black bottom part, and even sometimes they take a vertical video that they posted in YouTube, which has big black bars on both sides and just a little bit of vertical like this, and then they take that and post it in Instagram, where you end up with just a tiny little video in the middle, black bars on the side, black bars on the top, and that doesn't work, right? So you got to be careful of what you're doing, what you're sharing, what kind of content you're gonna be sharing across platforms, and you got to make sure that the audience that's on those platforms, is interested in the content that you're producing, right? The kind of content you're producing. Now, there is also the concept that you got to remember that, when you're starting out, when you're trying to learn the tools, when you're trying to learn the platforms, it's not that important to make sure that your content is perfect for the platform, for the audience, because you're learning a lot. So you give yourself a break in the beginning, go ahead and share, go ahead and do everything so you can learn the different platforms, because sometimes there's certain things you can't do to share, or if you do a certain way, it comes out a certain way, just like I was explaining the videos that you're taking from YouTube, from Facebook, from YouTube to Instagram, whatever, where you have just a tiny little video in the middle, right? So you wouldn't know that until you tried it and you figured out how to avoid it and that kind of stuff, right? So that's the thing. So can you share? I think you can, but it has to be relevant. Like I was saying in the comments here, if you're trying to share something on on TikTok, for example, well, those are like little short video, comedic videos, that kind of thing. So it's got to be a comedic video. You can't be sharing like it's educational kind of talking content like what I'm doing right now on that platform. Same thing with Musically. Musically is little clips of music, right? So that's like, unless you're a musician, or unless you can make something that's musical, there's no point really in putting any content on there, right? So Pinterest is a different kind of platform. I mean, I tried for a while to share my YouTube links there and that kind of stuff. It really didn't seem to do anything, but I do have lots of followers on there. I don't know really why, because I haven't really been focusing on Pinterest, right? On Instagram, on LinkedIn, I'm sharing some content, I'm posting, I'm getting some interaction, but not a lot. But that's because the content I'm producing isn't really meant for LinkedIn, at least not the way it is. So I probably should be producing different content for LinkedIn if I really wanted to, because LinkedIn is all about business to business. It's all about growing, a network of connections. It's not really about building a business, although some people do it on there, but it's not the same. Anyways, my point is that it's different. Your audience, you got to be careful if your audience is the same. So if you have the same audience on your YouTube that you have on your Facebook, that you have on IGTV, then maybe you can share across, which is what I'm doing. And I'm hoping that my audience is the same. And at the same time, your audience is going to grow based on your content. So your audience is eventually going to be your content, right? Or the audience that is interested in your content, right? So there's that to have to consider. So my answer to the question is, can you share across multiple platforms? Is yes, you can. Can you share across all platforms the same content? No. Should you create specific content for every single platform? Sure, but that takes more time. So if you can take the time to create pieces of content for every single platform that you're in, that's awesome. Personally, I don't have the time to do that. I can't, not right now, right? I can't really produce content, or at least I'm not willing to take the time to do it because I have other priorities. So it all goes based on that. So go ahead and share your content if you think the content is relevant to the different platforms. Make sure that you understand the differences, the nuances between the media structure and formats across the platforms before you start sharing. If you're not sure, let's have a conversation. I can help you out. I'd love to help you out, figure that out for yourself, for your brand, for your product, for your platform, for your business. And yeah, so that's the answer. All right, hopefully you got value from this. And if you think anybody else needs to hear this message, then please go ahead and share. I'm sure they'd appreciate it, and I would too. And until next time, this has been Jean-Serge Gagnon, and this is Course Income Secrets. Until next time.